Welcome to Beyond Bars. We are back at the CineCity Studios today with the Actors Empowerment Summit. Shout out to Michael Dean. Shout out to everybody here at the CineCity Studios for letting us pop a podcast up. We're really excited. I'm really excited to run this one. Kyrie is out today, but we had to do this pop-up episode because I got to meet a wonderful woman yesterday and her Theo today. And we're going to get to know them a little bit and their story. And I'm just so psyched for this episode. So shout out to Tyler and Michelle for being here and being in the space, the Actors Empowerment, and JJ, and we'll get into everybody else that we've been meeting and around with. But Celia and I, Celia Colón and I met yesterday at the Douglas Project at Cook County, and we'll get into that. But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. We are honored to be here and to share our story.
We are so hyped. And sitting with Cici here, someone that I met as Theo, but goes by Indalecio Encino. Right?
Theo, Indalecio, sure, like that.
Indalecio, yes. Theo. Okay, and we got Theo here as well, and Theo is the uncle to Celia, and we're going to hear a little bit about their story. I am so moved. Moved is an understatement for what I feel about what you have both shared with me, and of course the video that the Marshall Project has posted about you, Celia. We will cut some of that into this episode as well, so you get a proper intro. But you are the most impressive person I've met in a while.
Thank you.
In a long time. So I'd love for you to not just share a little bit about your story today, but I want to make sure we platform Giving Others Dreams as well, your organization and everything you're doing for the city of Chicago and incarcerated folks and their experience in the reentry to society. So I'd love to even just pause my mouth as much as possible today and hear from you guys as much as we can. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. So my name is Lady Celia Colón. I am one of the first formerly incarcerated women to be knighted by the Prince of Spain. I belong to the monarchical chapter of Constantine the Great in St. Helen. And my story started long time ago, right? From being born to a mother who suffers from severe mental health issues, who never got support that she needed. Something that is very prevalent in society and something that now is starting to be popular, where we look at people's emotional and mental health and harm. And we are starting to now make it okay not to be okay and to really talk about these things, right? Back in the day, it was like the worst thing to ever disclose to somebody. And it was kind of hidden and pushed under a rug and like a phobia not to be talked about, right? So if somebody in your family had severe mental health illness, instead of giving them help, they would bully or taunt or, not give them the support that they needed. And because of the trauma that my mother survived, she ended up having and getting mental health issues that she should have received help from. And because of that, she made, I would say, not wise decisions growing up. And a lot of those unwise decisions put me and my sister and my younger brothers and sisters in a lot of harm's way. As a survivor of someone who, because she was not in the right mental state, all of her relationships were very, very violent, right? They were toxic. They were not safe, which put us in an unsafe space. And I witnessed a lot of violence growing up, experienced a lot of violence myself growing up. And because of that, it changed my trajectory. I had to grow up as a 7-year-old, right? And take care of my brothers and sisters and feed them and take them to school and do all the things that a normal child would never have to carry those burdens or responsibilities. But because I was who I was and I had to grow up very early to do these things, it changed my life forever. One thing that occurred, which is a part of the Marshall Project episode, We Are Witnesses Chicago, where you can find my story, is I talk about those harms. I talk about leaving Florida, where I saved my mother's life, and not just my mother's life, but my life and my brothers and sisters' life. She was beaten one time by one of her violent ex-boyfriends, baby daddies, and they were always fought. I mean, it wasn't nothing that wasn't normal, but this day that I came home from school, when I came home from school, I had found my mother beaten and bloody on the living room floor from what was called a palote, a rolling pin. something that you would use to make tortillas. So they would always make different, use different material to make them. So they'd be made out of wood, they'd be made out of pipes, whatever. And I don't know what she was beaten with, but it was laid on the side of her, and it was a palote, a rolling pin, and it was silver. So I don't know if it was real steel or just fake steel, but she was there.
Heavy.
And I don't know, like I tell people all the time, they're like, what got into you? How did you do this? What happened? And I just tell people it was God. Like, he gave me the strength and courage to move. So at that moment, I knew that if my mother died, I was already going through a lot. I was already being raped and molested, and I just knew that this was going to happen to my little sisters or even my brother. He was already getting beaten. He was only 3. So for me, I crawled underneath my mom. I put her on my back, and I walked out of the living room, and we had 2 steps. I walked down them 2 steps, and we had, if anybody ever watched the old Ghostbuster movie with that white station wagon, we had that station wagon.
We had a green one.
Yeah, I had the white one. So I opened up the back, and I slid my mother in off my back, and then I shut it, and I put all my siblings who were under 5 in the back seat. And if anybody is around my age, right, back in the 80s and 90s, we had these, 10-inch, 12-inch phone books, right? Yep. They were just the biggest things. And because I was short, I'm still short now, but I was much smaller at the age of 12, I sat on 2 of them and jumped on Highway 75 and came to Chicago because it was only one road to get from Florida to Chicago, and this is where my family was. And that changed my life into a different trajectory. So we land here in Chicago. We get to our grandparents' house and tell them everything that happened. And they took us in for a little while, helped my mom get an apartment on 89th Street. And we moved into a gang hub, right, headquarters. And back in the day, there was women that were in gangs as well as men. Back in the 80s and 70s, a lot of the gangs that were created weren't created to harm community. They were created to protect community, support community, and the gangs would clean up the community and feed the kids, and it was like a non-for-profit without a non-for-profit, right? Encouraged us to stay in school and things like that. So I told the women what happened to me, and they told me that they would protect me, and that was the first time in my life I ever heard those words, right? I had never been protected. So somebody to say, hey, I'm going to protect you. We're going to walk you to school, and we're going to make sure that you and your brothers and sisters have food. That was everything, because I was living in a space where we didn't have food, and we didn't have food every day. We didn't have light and water sometimes. So therefore, those things are immediate needs that, of course, I clung to that, right? And I got involved with the gang, and then I became a teen mom. And then at the age of 17, right before I turned 18, I got into a fist fight with a girl who ended up getting really harmed. She ended up getting stabbed by my gang friends that jumped in, which I didn't ask them to, but that's just what happened. And when I think about it, it's like you never know what somebody else is going through, and you never know what somebody else's anger is. And even though I didn't want the young lady to be harmed the way she was harmed, she was. And at the end of the day, it was my fault because I'm the one that started the fight. If the fight was never started, she would have never got harmed by the people who jumped in. Even though I didn't tell them to, it's just a part of that life, and it happened, right? Fast forward, I go to prison for a 15-year sentence. And in that sentence, my life changed again. I am one of the many faces of prison rape survivors that nobody talks about. Nobody ever wants to talk about it. Nobody ever wants to come home and face it because we never get justice the way we should. Because who's going to believe you over an officer, right? It just doesn't happen. Women are never safe in jail or any prison. I don't care, anywhere in the world, right? Sexual harassment is always happening. Women are still getting raped today. Yep. And this is why my fight for women has never left me. I've seen things in prison that you could never unsee, that will shatter your soul, that will change how you live life. So therefore, when you are a witness to these harms and you survive them and come home and try to forget about them, you're a part of the problem, because it's our responsibility as witnesses and as survivors to these harms to come home and say, this isn't right, and it stops with me. So that's the role that I took on. I also realized that nobody comes back to give us the blueprint to success. Nobody comes back to tell us one day this is just a part of your journey, but you can survive this and become all the great things that you want to become in life, right? You are the creator of your destiny. So before I left prison in 1998, I joined a program that changed my life forever. It was called the WHO program, Women Helping Others. It was a hospice program because, yes, people die in prison. People are in sick units where they're dying. Mm-hmm. And this program was the first time I ever met a social worker, first time I ever met a counselor. And in this program, we were being taught to kind of hide and, not get emotionally involved to the people that we were going to write letters or, whatever we were going to do for them, read books to them. And in that training, I found out that I was dealing with untreated trauma, that I had created this emotional wall, this barrier where I was detached from my emotions. And when they told me that, it really resonated with me because I have witnessed 2 people getting shot in the head. And I remember not crying, but I remember watching everybody around me. It was like a fucking movie, excuse my language. But I was like in shock. It was like a movie. Like I could see everybody crying and screaming, and I'm just like there watching everything. And I remember feeling bad for the family, but I didn't cry. And at that moment, I was like, man, do I got a heart that don't bleed? Like, what's going on with me, right?
Yeah.
But at that moment, I didn't know that I was dealing with this disassociation of not creating this wall, this barrier to protect myself.
Having to. Yeah.
I had to. The more in depth that I got with this class, the more it opened up this Pandora's box of how the brain worked, how mental health illnesses occur, what creates them, and how can you heal from them. So it opened up this box where I was so eager to learn everything that I could to change my trajectory, but also to help people who suffered like me. And I had got an understanding of what my mother went through, and then I felt very sorry for her. And all I wanted to do was come home and help her heal and give her tools and counseling and all the things that I was learning that would help undo a lot of the harm, meaning you could never undo the harm that's done to you, but you can forgive people who don't deserve your forgiveness to release it, right? You can learn how to honor the pain that you survived, give it the space that it needs, but also learn how to release it so that it doesn't live with you and that you don't take it into the next chapter. Why let pain from the past pierce your future? Like, I refuse to ever let that happen again. I know I am the creator of my destiny, and I've already, like I tell people all the time, been through hell and back maybe 7 times. The only thing I haven't did is died. And for me, I'll never want to live in a dark space again. I never want to live in a space that I am not in control of or can't create. So I've made it my destiny to decide to have a different life. I always tell people you're one decision away from a different life. And I've proven that time and time of again with the work that I've done. Throughout my whole life, one of the biggest rocks that I ever had in my life, even though he was gone my whole life, was my uncle, my tío. My mom used to take me to go visit him in prison. I remember being traumatized as early as 5, where I went to a Michigan prison and they had me take off my shoes and like patting me down and kind of searching me as a child, and I not understanding why, right? And he always wrote me encouraging letters, positive things, sent me pictures. I don't know if he made them or he had somebody else made them, but he always remained in contact with us. And any chance I got, I would write him and go see him. He was a father that I never had. The only person that never harmed me or touched me in a horrible way. So, no. So, for me, I know. So for me, he was my rock. And then when I got locked up, the warden gave me permission to write my uncle. And he's the one who told me the ropes and told me what to do and not to do when I was in prison, because he was already in prison for like 25 years by the time I went to prison. And I had always had, growing up, I always thought my uncle was going to die in prison because he had 2 life sentences. But because of the work that I've been able to do since I've been home, I'm an advocate. I do a lot of national policy work besides the direct service work that I do through my non-for-profit, Giving Others Dreams. But I also know that owning a non-for-profit and doing direct services is kind of like a Band-Aid, right? The government only lets you pay for things that they would allow. Mm-hmm. They only, there's always a limit to what you can or can't do. Mm-hmm. So through policy work is how we change laws and really make an impact and bring people home. And because I am a Just Leadership USA alum, 2018, I did a lot of leadership development, advocacy training, been involved with a lot of bills that have been passed to change laws. In Illinois alone in 2017, I was a part of a group that helped change the laws, and this is why we could get seals and expungements now, okay? So before, there was like only 2 things that could happen, and now there's only 4 things that can't get sealed or expunged. That was a part of my work. Coming home, I was wrapped up in my only way to get justice from being raped was helping with the PREA, the Pre-Rape Elimination Act that now exists in every prison,
and
right?
You have to sign when you walk in the door as a volunteer too, yeah.
That was my justice, right? So things like that helped chip away the pain and said, hey, you don't own me, I own this shit, right? Becoming involved with Cut 50, which is now dream.org. I'm also what's called the Chicago ambassador for them. I belong to Reform Alliance. You name it, I'm involved with them, right? I worked on what was called the First Step Act, that as of today, we've been able to bring 32,000 people home. And in that clause, besides changing the crack cocaine from powder, the law to that, we also had a clause in there for people that were terminally ill, that were facing death. And because of that clause, we were able to bring my uncle home. He was suffering, and he had a rare cancerous tumor in his heart. He had heart surgery in prison. They really didn't think he had much time. And because of that was happening, we were able to file an appeal and go for the First Step Act for him for a terminal case to bring him home. And because of that work, after 50 years in prison, I was able to bring my uncle home 2 years ago. So that has been the proudest moment of my life. My life legacy is not just to bring him home. I was able to bring another uncle home who did 32 years also for drugs. And his name is Diocande. So for me, that's my legacy, is being able to bring my family home who was suffering. And by the grace of God, he's still with us today. He's here now, right?
Yes, he is.
He is flourishing. He's supported by family. When he came home, I am the only woman in Chicago that leads one of the largest community violence intervention programs, CVI work, which is integrated with my reentry work. Mm-hmm. So when people come home from prison, I'm able to give people jobs that nobody else would hire. So Theo is one of my oldest peacekeepers. One of our mediators, because he is the messenger. It's, people think that doing CVI work, it's about the message, but it has to be the credible messenger.
Mm-hmm. Kyrie is a Peace Circle certified as well.
If you don't have the right credible messenger, the message will never be heard, right? So in that work, I've done a lot of amazing things. My non-for-profit, it's called God, Giving Others Dreams, because I believe we all give each other dreams. And I give all honor back to God to give me the strength and resilience that I have to survive the things that I have survived and still keep a smile on my face and be sane. It started off as just a ministry, and I would go into the Cook County Jail, the Audi home, the prisons after school, in the evenings, on the weekends. And I was doing this for a long time. I worked as a researcher for 16 years. I worked for a clinical trial center. We did everything from phase 2 through phase 4, which is phase 2, they're still not approved by the FDA, kind of going through the process, the commercials. Are you suffering from high blood pressure? We got an ongoing study, that kind of stuff, right? And then we did all the way through phase 4s, which are medications that are already on the market for something, but now they're going to be used for a different reason. So like blood pressure medication is now used for kidney prevention, but before it could be labeled as such, it had to go through a clinical trial to prove that it protects the kidneys. So kind of did that, and that changed my life, because when I came home from prison, it's always about your network and your people. So when I was in prison, before the Pell Grants got taken away, I was in a satellite college for Roosevelt University here in Chicago. And I was taking the business management course, and Pell Grants got cut. Class was over. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget, my facilitator was like, hey, we got a reentry program. When you come home, come looking for us, right?
So we've discussed this in another podcast, but sometimes we like to remind people what Pell Grants are: educational opportunities for incarcerated folks, is essentially.
Yes. So, I kept his information, even though it was 2 years prior to my release. That was still very, I'm almost there, right? Mm-hmm. And when I came home, I went to that place. I went looking for him, but he wasn't there, but the place still existed. So I was like, hey, I just came home. I need a job. So they helped me get a job. And that's how I started working for the Research Center. So the funny thing about the Research Center is that my boss that I used to have, he was infatuated with women in prison. That's how I got the job there. He was had a pen pal. And I started off as a cleaner, because to him, even though I had a degree coming home, I had no job experience, right?
Infatuated with women in prison, but
yes.
He was clean.
So no, I mean, he had a pen pal, so that's why he got involved of trying to hire people with records.
Okay.
So that's kind
Good
of
start.
put him in that path,
Better
right?
Start.
And so I came home when I came home, I got the job, and they hired me as a cleaner to clean the office. But of course, I knew I was not going to be a cleaner, right? So all the project
Surely
coordinators,
the fuck not,
right? Yeah, no. So I would wait, 9 to 5 job, 5 o'clock comes, everybody goes home. I wouldn't leave. I go to the coordinators, researchers, and say, hey, what are you working on? How can I help you? How can I help you, right? Of course, because I wanted their jobs, but I didn't have time to go back to school. I had a kid that I had to take care of and trying to get back, right? So I said, man, I got to learn what they know so that I can be of value, and if something happens to one of them, I'll be able to step in. I went back and got my medical association, medical assistant degree so I could learn how to draw blood. I'm an amazing phlebotomist, right? And I became of value. So one day, one of the project coordinators was pregnant. She had complications. She couldn't leave out the country. So I'm on parole. And she tells my boss, she's been helping me all the last 6 months. She knows everything just as good as me. Take her, So he ended up asking my parole officer. No, I never left, the country. I've been to other states, but never left the country. And I'm on parole. And they grant it, right? Because I'm going with this whole medical team. And I started traveling my first year home to places that I only dreamed of, places that I wrote down in prison that I wanted to see. And this is how great God is. Every place that I wrote down, God took me there. And what's crazy is that I got to share this book with you that I kept. So every time I went to one of these fancy schmancy hotels, I would rip the front page of the magazine in the room, right? It was like my scrapbook, right? But I didn't know that I was going to use it later to share my story, right? So the first place I went to was Montreal, and I had all these doctors following me. My boss called me the Pied Piper because I had all these scientists and Nobel Prize winners hanging out with me. They didn't know I had a background, but we're just partying and stuff, right? Because back in the day, the pharmaceutical companies used to pay the doctors like crazy, shut down buildings, and just wine and dine them, right, to sell their scripts. And
we talked about that on our last episode, actually.
So true. So I had went to Cancun. I had went to all these exotic places. Like I said, I stayed at the Phoenician in Arizona, where you're greeted with champagne and a wet towel because it's, Arizona used to be owned by the mob. You need a golf course to get to your room. Yeah. So it was just amazing stuff, right? And then on my way to Paradise Island in the Bahamas, I was still on parole. And I remember getting off the plane and getting on this ferry, because now they have a street. But before, it was a ferry that you had to get on to get to Atlantis. And I'll never forget that day, because that's the day that GOD came to fruition. I was on this ferry. The water was so beautiful. The sand was so white. And everybody was treating me like I was a queen, right? And in the United States, I felt like everybody looked at me as somebody formerly incarcerated with my number on my head, and I just felt like everybody knew I was on parole, right? That's just my internal thought, right? And I remember everybody just being so kind and so generous, and I just started thinking of all the women I left behind. And while I was on this ferry going to Paradise Island, a place that I never would even dream of, right? I started crying, and I was like, man, God, thank you for giving me dreams. Thank you for bringing all my dreams to life. And then I said, from this day forward, I'm going to go back inside and teach people the blueprint to success. And all it is belief in yourself, trust in yourself, and knowing that you're one decision away from a different life. You're only going to get what you put in it. So surrounding yourself with amazing people who are going to elevate you, educate you, and push you to do the right things, right? And from then on, I started creating programs. And I really just pushed mental health awareness and healing, because for me, healing is crime prevention, it's suicide prevention, it's substance abuse prevention, and it helps you become who you need to become in life and live in your purpose when you find out who you are.
Yep.
And you stand in your power. So GOD came to life. I started, like I told you, going into the school, to the Audi homes and the jails and the prisons in the evenings and the weekends. And then in 2020, one of the worst things ever happened to me in my life was that I lost my little sister to gun violence. She was 35. Her name was Guadalupe Lupita Lopez, and she was shot and killed a day before her birthday. I had to ID my sister on her birthday with the .45 to the head. And that's why I'm fighting for trauma-informed policies now at every medical examiner's office and at every funeral home, because one of the things that they forced me to do was to go ID her. And if you've never been to a medical examiner's office, it's not a funeral home. They don't clean people up. And to be honest, I believe a lot of the medical people there are desensitized, right? It's just flesh and another person.
Just associating in the same way,
right?
You had to, and yeah.
Right. So when we went, I took my little brother with me. I had to see this on her birthday, right? And I remember before going in telling my brother, look, because it was COVID. So when she was at the hospital, they didn't let me go in and touch her while she was still warm. All I wanted to do was pray over her. That's it. Being a Catholic, I wanted to go give her the rite of passage and do the prayer, right? And I didn't get to do that. And that's all I wanted to do, like touch her while she was still alive, because she was still alive for about 38 minutes. And when I got to the medical examiner's office, my brother fell on the ground. He freaked out. He started crying and screaming. And I'll never forget, the security guard came. Not a counselor, not a preacher, not any kind of help, right? It was the fucking security guard. And he's telling us we got to get out to stop all that. And I'm looking at him like, you're fucking crazy right now, right? So as an advocate, I understand why violence is perpetuated in Illinois, right? We cause a lot of it, meaning not having protections for people. Because if I was somebody else or somebody unharmed, unhealed, I would want to do so many harmful things to other people, because hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. So the trauma didn't stop there. After my sister's funeral, usually when the funeral's over, people put the flowers in the family's car. They did that. But what the funeral home did extra was they put a box in there. They didn't label it, had no name on it. So I have an office. It's in my basement at home. And I remember everybody bringing everything to my office. And I'm like, what's this box? You know, I'm thinking it's cards from the funeral home. My thought process. And it ended up being my sister's crime scene clothes. The clothes was still moist. It still had bits and pieces of hair and flesh and glass and stuff like that. And I remember throwing it on the floor because I just couldn't do it. And I didn't touch it for 6 months. Yeah. And then after 6 months, I grabbed my little sister. I saged it, prayed over it. I put some Palo Santo on it. And I scraped my little sister's blood and her DNA into ash containers for her 2 children that she leaves behind. And because of that experience, it changed my life in ways that I could never really explain, but it gave me the power to fight even more for people, to create trauma-informed policies to protect everybody nationally. And when that happened, I couldn't go back to work. I turned my ministry, because I was already on the ground 20 years, 19 years doing this work. I already had amazing networks system and support system. And I turned my ministry into a non-for-profit that you see today. Giving Others Dreams is the first reentry training and healing center on the South Side, where we really look at mental health before anything else. The social and emotional harms that formerly incarcerated people or gun violence victims have to suffer with for eternity is horrific. But really looking at it as a space where we can really help the community become better. Everybody that walks through my door gets free mental health care and support, and their families, because we believe that in order to help you, we have to help your entire environment, right? Not just you. We have something, so we run a full-time pantry. I feed about 500 people a week. I have a full-time school where we do pre-GED. We got 21 people in pre-GED right now. I've had 2 people got their GED. I work with, as a partner, Northeastern University, where all of my administrative staff gets to go to school for free to get an urban degree study in 2 years, bachelor's, to help them with their advocacy work. We work with the Entrepreneurship Academy, one of our partners, and we run entrepreneurship classes inside of my office, because the only way out of incarceration or violence is when you remove people from poverty. That's it. Like, when you look at incarceration as like an event, and you look at all the precursors of what happens prior to going to prison, everything's just exacerbated to Satan fucking list on the outside when you come out.
To survive.
But it's even worse now, because now you might be somebody like my uncle who's on a murder registry where people are not going to allow him to rent their apartment. Or because also of his age as being an elder, it's harder for older formerly incarcerated people to get jobs. He's 73 years old. He's not the workforce that people consider today, right? So it's really hard for people to start over, and what happens to them, right? I lead one of the largest community violence intervention programs, and with that, I'm able to help people who are coming home have full-time jobs, right? But not only do they have jobs, it's a leadership development program, meaning you're coming in here to help community, serve community, but we're going to help you become the best version of you that can be. So whether that's, helping you get a degree. Last year, I was with my partner, Contextos. We was able to turn 32 people, and he's one of them.
We had Johnny from Contextos actually on the pod.
Beautiful. Yeah. So shout out to Johnny. We turned 32 people into first-time authors. So that happened last year. Theo's an author now, too. He shared his story in that book. And then we also, you name it, we do it. One of my favorite programs that I run, it's called Smiling with Seniors. So I take my peacekeepers, not all of them, not all 85 of them, but 10 at a time, because
85 peacekeepers.
Yes.
Just wanted to repeat that.
Yeah, 85 peacekeepers.
For anyone that thinks they're tired.
Yeah, I got 100 people on staff, so there's 16 staff members and 85 peacekeepers, and it's a lot of work. I'm mama to everybody. But Smiling with Seniors, we're the only group that goes inside to our senior suites twice a month. We play bingo, we kick it, we do just that, help them smile, because a lot of them that are in senior homes sometimes come from out of state because that's the only home available, and they have no visitors. A lot of them die from being lonely, from depression, and because we know they're on a budget, right, we bring them hygiene products, cleaning supplies, PPE supplies, right? We just have a great time. We do karaoke, like you name it, we do it. And for me, it's not even, that's a part of it, but the bigger part is the wisdom and the knowledge that our elders teach my peacekeepers. That exchange of knowledge and love is something that could never be replicated, ever, And for me, that's everything. I also have, I work with the Women's and Children Division, so the WIC office, they're in my office. We have them, a mobile office every 4th Friday. We also work with Healthy Life, which is another partner of mine that deals with maternal issues. So we do a diaper giveaway every 3 months. We give out 400 boxes of diapers and wipes to our community members. What am I forgetting here? What am I forgetting here? We do a lot of, everything is intersected with violence and reentry. We also do, going into the Douglas Project, right, partnering with people that are meeting people where they're at. A big thing that I'm doing right now is that when people come home, well, in prison, if you're plugged or even if you're not, sometimes as soon as you come in prison and you hit a deck, usually somebody will give you a care package when you first get there. So I carried that spirit coming home, and I have something that we give people called the We Win Welcome Home Care Package, because our motto and our mission statement says we win when we invest in each other. It used to say we win when we invest in women, because I used to only do women before my sister died. And with this package, it's basically hygiene products, cleaning supplies, PPE supplies, tissue, laundry soap, blah, blah, blah. So everything you need. Package is about $180, but if there's 5 or more people living in your household, we're giving you 2 baskets, because it's about meeting the immediate needs of that person and the home, getting that person out of survival mode so they actually can come and listen and absorb stuff, because they cannot listen and absorb anything that you're trying to teach them when they're in survival mode. People in Illinois, there's 7 neighborhoods that we come home to when we come home from prison. They're on the west sides and on the south side, where black and brown people live, and our economics haven't changed. So it's hard, and it becomes very stressful for a family member to take care of somebody coming home when they don't have extra income. And it causes a lot of problems.
And are in that mode, like you said,
survival mode. Like, you can't stay here unless you bring something in the house. So that creates that recidivism, right? They're going to go commit a crime to bring something so they can have somewhere to live, right? Yep. Or sometimes women come home to an abuser because they don't have a safe space to go home to. So I'm going to deal with this abuser because that's the only place I can parole to, right? So we go a step.
And like you said, cannot process and learn and unwind and unheal when you're in that space. Like, people forget, it's like you don't just leave, commit a crime and go back, because like even economics, it's like the healing process takes time. It's nonlinear. And if you don't even have access, availability, resources, it's like all of us can understand when you're like heated, upset in that moment, you can't, like, people forget information. It's like you can't receive it, you can't hold on to it, even if you have access to it. Your
quota race is just all the way up, and you're just not listening. And then we go a step further. So I have a thrift store. It's called I Am Thrifty. It's a metaphor. So it has a lot of different pictures of people.
Of course,
in
you have a store. Sure, yeah.
Different outfits. And basically, if they have transportation, they can come into my store. They get 14 interview attire outfits. That equals 30 days of clothes if you mix and match. We give them 2 pairs of shoes. We give them a purse. We give them a jacket. And because I know my black sisters don't get what they need in prison for their hair, a lot of them come home with balding or spots. We have a weave rack, so they get 2 bundles of hair or a good wig that I have behind the counter because they're a little more expensive. But so that's a part of the We Win Welcome Home Care package, is because how can somebody be successful? Okay, they come home to your reentry center, you get them a job, but how are they showing up for the part? Where is their confidence, right? Because now we know your first paycheck takes 3 weeks, so how are you showing up for that position to be successful and live in that position, right? And all this time, I've always used my car, my personal car. I'm in the hood. I'm in the trenches. When they can't come to us, we go to them, literally, and we drop stuff off. But I'm tired of using my vehicle. I can't charge all of the maintenance and upkeep to my non-for-profit. So I just recently purchased a 15-passenger church bus that me and my husband gutted it. We watch a lot of tiny homes, so he's in.
When?
On Sundays. That's my off day. So we gutted it and we turned it into this magnificent boutique on wheels. It's going to be the first reentry center in Illinois on wheels. Right now, I am about 15 grand short from finishing it because it has 2 broken brake lines. I need new tires all around because it came from a junkyard. And I want to wrap it. So what I want to wrap it with is my logo is called GOD. So on the back, have the logo. But then the lip of the bus, I want to put clouds with my sister and all the women that have been killed in Chicago whose cases remain unresolved. I want to honor them and let people know and not forget them. And it's just going to be like a hippie bus, love, peace, like that kind of graffiti on it, and meeting people where they're at, but giving them the dignity to shop on the bus for their own stuff. Like when we take them stuff, I'm going through menopause right now, so sometimes I'm at 8, sometimes at 10, right? So we literally don't know if the clothes we bring you are going to fit you.
We were talking about that earlier today.
Right.
Even any time of the month, I'm a different size, and I'm a different state of being.
Right. So, I try to be a fashionista, right? When we do the intake, we ask you your 3 favorite colors, your sizes, and then we just go in the store and try to put stuff together for you. But again, if I bring it to you, I don't know if you like this stuff or if it's even going to fit you, right? So with the bus, we got a dressing room. I'm excited. So we could put 40 outfits on there. Again, I don't know if you like Dove or Irish Spring, right? So it's just about giving people back their power of choice. Yes. So that's what the bus will be doing. Her name is Big Mama because everybody needs a big mama in their life. She has the best hugs, the best food. So that's her name. It's going to be in chrome on the front, Big Mama. That's something I'm working on. I'm also working on a lot of other for-profit social justice workforce. There is not one employer in the state of Illinois that supports women that are going through the family reunification process. So a lot of our women, and I've held hands of many women who lose their children. And when people lose their children, they lose their life. When women lose their children, they become a substance abuse user and they commit more crimes. So when we don't protect women, we actually end up creating two numbers. The woman who loses her children becomes that revolving door. The children end up being harmed. 90% of them that go to state custody get fostered out. Not all of them, but 10% of them will go to a good home. The other 90, they're going to be harmed by the system or their caregivers, or I've met a lot of sex traffic survivors who've been fostered out and put on a bus. And like I always tell people, Amber Alert is for Amber. They're not coming for Shaquita. They're not coming for Celia. When we go run away, as I like to say, when we're 12, a lot of us don't run away. We're actually being sold. And everybody in the world, across the world, knows there's $1 billion pedophile ring, but nobody ever talks about how them children get there or whose children they are, right?
There's a reason for that, yeah.
So when we protect women and actually help family reunification happen, we're stopping that. What I plan to do is I plan to open up a couple businesses. One is called Popping for People, so you can make gourmet popcorn all over the world.
I love popcorn. See you there.
Thank you. So what I plan
food.
to do is bring women in, same pay, so whatever minimum wage is, but every 8 weeks change your job title and position. So at the end of the year, they have this fluffy-ass resume, right, to bring value to other businesses. Or we become the catalyst to help them open their own. But the main thing is that every bag will have all the hotline numbers, suicide, domestic violence, sex trafficking. And on the back would be the women actually writing handwritten inspirational notes to the community saying, thank you for helping me reunite with my kid. Because what I plan to do is pay them, help them financially with all the programming that they need to do. And what I mean by that, I've surveyed over 284 men. None of them are ever asked if they're fathers or caregivers when they're released from prison, but women are. So as soon as we say yes, here goes the programming, even if I didn't need it. Like my case, I had an attempt murder case. It had nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. But when I told them that I had a child, I had to go through an alcohol assessment, an anger management assessment, a parental class. And then if my kid was with DCFS, it's not like you could, hey, DCFS, let me get my kids. No, it's a whole case program, supervised visits. So imagine me and Theo come to you, same case, same background. You hire both of us today. But the same day that you hire me, I have to ask you if I could have 2 half-a-days off this week because I got these supervised visits with my kid and I want my kid back. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to say, no, you got to do that after work, right? So women, unfortunately, are in this circle of destruction that nobody looks at. And that's why the number of women going to prison and the harm is just at a 800% rate right now.
800%.
And that's because there's no help for them, really. So if you don't let me do this, I'm going to quit your job and I'm going to go to the next and to the next. By the time I go to court in 6 months, the judge is looking at me, social workers over there with my kid, I'm here. More harm is happening to my child because now the judge is saying, well, you're not keeping up with your programs. You don't want your kids back. You're not trying hard enough to keep a job. You can't even keep a steady job. How am I going to keep a job when no one will allow me to program and see my children? If you dangle my kids in my face, my kids are going to come first. Okay. And I'm going to, totally just leave that job and go to a place where somebody will let me program for my children. So for me, my fight has always been for women because violence against women has always been allowed, right? And there's not enough support for women. So that's one. The other one will be at the thrift store. I plan to do the same thing. I'm just looking for a grant that will support that workforce development theory. And then I have another one that I'm opening up called the Cozy Cafe. Same little concept, but we're going to teach women how to be self-sufficient, how to cook, how to grow food. I'm also a horticulturalist, so I grow. That's kind of where I'm heading, right? What I'm doing right now in South Chicago is a legacy for not just me, but for my sister. Everything I do is in my sister's honor to stop violence. And I plan to build a billion-dollar industry and leave it there. And then just come back as a philanthropist to keep pouring into it. Like, I don't want to keep being in front of trauma. I've been in front of trauma for 24 years. I just want to help the healers heal. I'm a healer. On my other little life,
a sound healer.
I'm a sound therapist. I do yoga. I teach wellness programs. I help people create what's called survival toolkits. Like, what are the 3 things you run to when life becomes overwhelming or you're dealing with a lot of anxiety? So really just trying to help people heal so that they could really flourish in life. For me, I feel like God chose me because he knew I was going to survive all these things and then come back and fight about them. So for me, all the horrific shit that I went through allows me the compassion and grace to actually understand people from a cellular level that a lot of people wouldn't understand. So when I go into the prisons and the jails and I see women that, unfortunately, like when I go into the Cook County Jail, it'd be like, damn, you're back again? Like the same lady, right, in my program, and she left. And it's like that revolving door. And then when I ask them, like, why do you keep harming yourself, right? Because they're getting high and stuff like that. And they'll be like, well, you don't understand. My mom used to give me away, and I was raped, and I was this. And I'll be like, well, me too. So let's talk about it, right? Because a person's
so powerful to say me too.
Yeah.
And also, I made a different choice.
Right. Person's not raping you today. You're not being harmed today. Why are you letting someone harm you over and over and over and over and over again, right? I get it. But why are you allowing that pain to constantly go into the next chapter and the following chapter and destroy your livelihood? You're giving people that power to destroy you. They already destroyed you once. Why are you going to let them destroy you again? You know, so to be able to stand there as a survivor and say, hey, it stops here, right? You have to release it. I'm not telling you to ignore it. I'm telling you to honor it, but find another way to deal with your pain. So I have a talk show on JD3 TV. It's also on Apple, Roku, Android Network. It's called Powered by Pain.
You have the longest resume.
I do.
The most impressive. Like I said, people are impressive. All of our guests are impressive. You are the most impressive person.
Thank you.
An interesting person.
Thank you.
I've met a long time. No shade to anybody, including me, by the way.
Thank you. I think that elevating our stories like you are today, thank you, is what creates change and what really helps people grow compassion and empathy for the next person. And I think that when people speak from a place of love, that love changes things, and that when you're able to survive and say it stops with me, you become that torch of hope. And people could look, that's why G.O.D. is G.O.D. We give each other's dreams, right? So it's about showing people that, yeah, I've been through the fire, but I got all these scars. Like I tell people, I have scars all over my body from abuse that you can see and some that you can't see. The ones that you can't see are the most hardest ones, right? And let them know that no matter what happens in life, it will pass, right? And then you ultimately have the decision to decide what you're going to do with that pain. And is it going to give you purpose? Are you going to go use your voice? Are you going to protect the next person by sharing your story?
I mean, I have so many things to come back to, and one of, again, the most interesting and just powerful stories and people in this room. Like, I could start with what don't you do, but, and I will even say, you did forget, so you told me before this that you create Zen rooms in every workspace that you have, and are going to start a separate probably business doing that on the side. I want to help the healers heal. You're just, first of all, thank you for being, not only like being here, but as detailed and as forthcoming and as vulnerable and as open, because that is what we believe, right? And I said I hope, but I know that the facts are true, that like healing only happens through relationship. So if you don't have a relationship to a certain experience, a certain person, a certain like anything, right? Like you can't understand it. You can't begin to care, honestly. Like people can't care about things they don't know about or they don't have personal experience with. And so to share your story, and to allow yourself to be so exposed does create that change. You don't need me to tell you that, but I'm appreciative because that's why we do this, you know? And I feel so truly like blessed to have met you yesterday in a series of events that kind of like came together. And honestly, like I have this friend, we have a friend, Dalton, who does like kind of like questions we did at the Douglas Project yesterday. And for listeners that aren't aware of the Douglas Project, it is a program in which you can spend time, 2 hours, with folks at various jails and prisons across the country. Incredible, like I teach yoga in jail regularly. I have been doing that for 10 years. And this program is super, super incredible and impactful. Powerful. What they give you a worksheet where you get to ask questions of folks in small groups and in larger groups that say things like, what's the best advice you've received? What's the most interesting thing you learned this year? Things like that. So our friend Dalton has this like basically bar list of questions that's like a little more topical, or like not even actually less topical and more just like fun. But one of his questions, what I was getting to, is, do you believe in God? And my most recent answer is I want to, and that's where we just kind of left it. But like truly your, not just like story, but presence and energy, it's like, it's gotta be.
Right.
Like, it's gotta be some higher and bigger power that also is inside you, right? Like, because like you said, people, I think before we even started recording, you said like everybody's different, everybody's interesting. And I sort of made the joke that not everybody's interesting and not everybody's different, but everybody has the capacity to be, right? Everybody has the capacity to change. Everybody has the capacity to do the things that you're doing. And most people just choose to do less, but it's why it's like so powerful. I mean, I was sitting here and I've been thinking I was tired all day, but I'll keep that to myself for literally ever. I'm so impressed with you. You have 7 animals, right? 7?
Yes, and I have 4 children and 2 grandchildren, and they're amazing. That's the pride and joy of my life, is giving the kids, my kids, a life that I was never given. And watching them just flourish in life. Like my older daughter, she's 33. She's my CFO. She's an accountant. In the state of Illinois, there's only 2% of Latinos that are accountants, CPAs. And then my 22-year-old son, he just became an operation engineer like his dad. So, you know, he is now making the big bucks, about $100,000 a year. And then my other child, she's 19. Oh, she's 20 now. She just turned 20. She's also in UIC in her 3rd year being an accountant. And then I have my Amaya Rose. She is only 10, and we're about to publish her book pretty soon. And we are just a family of love.
Incredible.
And and one other thing, I am the only formerly incarcerated woman to also receive a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award.
I was waiting for that to come out. You told me that yesterday
President
too.
President Biden and Kamala Harris before they left office. So I, share. I'm also an author. I've been nominated for an Emmy. So for me, it's just showing people that no matter the title, no matter who you come from, you ultimately have the decision to become who you want to become in this world. And as long as you are dedicated and you just keep pushing no matter what, like I always tell people, no just means not right now. Just there's always another way. They taught us that at a very young age, right? Jill
That's
couldn't
what
go.
Women in my life have taught. I have literally an Instagram caption up from years ago that says that. Like, so grateful to have women in my life that say all no really means is find another way.
Right.
Like, and you have to lead by example.
Well, MacGyver and, Jack and Jill taught us too, right? That you go under the hill, over the hill, you're going to find a way, right?
Go around, through, whatever.
You'll find
you
a
can
way.
do.
Yeah, and creating relationships. That's my biggest thing in life. Having the most amazing people fall into my life, just like you did, right? It's always divine connections for me. Because, for me, energy is everything. Even the scientific, community knows that energy is real. We can't bottle it, but it's real. Same thing with loving God
physics.
or
Yeah,
the
we have
universe,
it.
right? It's there.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, it's there, right? And I believe that beautiful ball of energy just connects me to the right people all the time at the right place and the right time, because I just want to love on people. I just want people to be fucking great. And if I can help them become great, I love watching people. Like, I have another business. I'm a business consultant. It's called Beauty Builders, because I know how to open up businesses. And I've helped a couple people open up non-for-profits. And I had to learn it all by myself, trial and error, you know. So now that I did that, I know what to do. And now I'm going to help other people do that, because that's the only way out of incarceration cycle, is having your own and building for yourself and creating generational wealth, right? So for me, I take pride of helping people open up businesses that turn into $1 million businesses, because if I ever go broke, I know a couple people I could borrow something. Yeah. But you know, for me, I just love sharing all the tools and knowledge and wisdom that I've taken on over the years, and it's my responsibility to share those things.
I subscribe to that wholeheartedly, and it's one of the reasons people ask why I even teach yoga in jail. It's like the privilege to receive information about healing, right? Because obviously I've been in some dark places in my life as well, having lost someone to, frankly, suicide to avoid going to jail. And I couldn't have put that together in my past as to why I do what I do. First, I think came like just some kind of inner exposure to healing, and then the understanding of the responsibility around that, right? To like widen the path, right? Because a lot of people that have access to healing and self-care and green juice look like me. And that's very intentional, right? To make sure that there's separation of races, like frankly, and separation of funds, and separation of the ability to move up in the economy. So for me, it's like my teacher was always, and he was a white man, but he always said, you know, widen the path. Like widen the path. So we teach chair yoga to seniors. Me and him, I've taught after school programs, and like once you, I think, experience any kind of like have any kind of relationship to the justice system, it's like, I mean, the path there is so intentional, such an intentional loop. It's like that all you can do to make it your responsibility to be a part of it. Like I have brought people into this production team who are in my personal circle and life, that it's like, I told someone earlier today, I was like, if you want to be in my life, you like for real, you will attend a Douglas Project. Like it's to like, I need you to energetically understand and physically understand like what is happening and what we are doing to other humans in this country.
It's the
very intentionally.
It's the experience, and until like yesterday when we went inside with the Douglas Project, right, the humanizing that happens for people all across races, religion, creeds, to really see each other. But I mean, really see each other is so powerful, right? And to create compassion and to create I would say an understanding of why something happened, right? One of the biggest terms that I use, and everybody always hears me, is that my favorite word, I'm going to put on a shirt one day, is that we're all flawsome. We're all full of flaws, but we're fucking awesome, you know? So
merch, flawsome.
Flawsome, baby, because no matter what, you know, I'm going to shine. I'm going to be great. I might have screwed up or didn't know the right way to do it, but eventually I'm going to figure it out, right?
Oh my God.
So,
awesome.
So just helping people with opportunities brings me joy, and creating opportunities. That's all anybody wants, is an opportunity to be great.
Also, speaking of opportunities, as this mic has moved, I noticed an opportunity. We can cut for a second, but hit one of these.
Oh, I got lipstick.
It's been fine. Okay. Like I didn't even notice, but then I just saw it. And woman to woman, we're gonna need to.
Now is it gone?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I don't think you can even see it on camera. Can you?
Okay, that'll be fine.
Okay. And in any event, it wasn't like I just saw the mic shift and I was like, well, I'm gonna need to say something. And we're back. Okay.
So talking about opportunities, this is where Theo comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was given. Given one of the greatest opportunities of coming home. And when he came home, he was surrounded by his niece and nephews, who he has been our rock since we've been gone. And I brought him to the reentry center, turned him into a peacekeeper, community violence intervention specialist here. And everybody, all 84 peacekeepers love him to death. They all call him Theo. They go to him for wisdom and knowledge and some support. And I'll let you tell your story, Theo. You ready? And you can ask him any questions you want.
As much as you want. Yeah, I mean, First of all, here's what I'd like to introduce you both to and add a little bit of just my experience with the two of you in the last couple hours and since yesterday is you are also both a good time. For all of the work that you do, I mean, Cici and Theo are dancing in front of, we're at the Actors Empowerment Summit again, and before JJ Velasquez's talk, you know, just like you are the energy in the room. And
Movement
you really,
is magic.
Yes, for sure. But like, I mean, you know, so many people are just like bad hangs. And like,
Got that right.
Even doing good work are bad hangs.
Yeah.
And y'all are fun, and you can feel that you have made the choice to be like, actually, every day, like, I'm going to have a good one. It doesn't have to be every hour of every day, right? Things can be tough, like you said, when you're working with, especially women in the reentry program, and they need minutes, and have to bring people in to support them and get in your Zen room or whatever. Like, you can have moments, you can feel things, but you all are just like the real deal in terms of like people you want to be around.
Thank you. Yeah, gotta
And,
wake up with the gratitude. That's the attitude.
That is right, and Tio is no exception. So
Theo's a smooth person.
See, my
Mueva la
life.
mano. Mueva la mano. Get right here. Okay.
Okay, my life began when I was just a young kid. As I was growing up, I turned out to be a migrant worker, working in the fields, help my family to support my family. And that's something that is not easy, because here you are, not but 9 and 10 years old, and you work in the fields with hoes and rakes, so.
Pisqueando, picking.
Yeah, picking up pickles, tomatoes, vegetables, all kinds of stuff.
Strawberries, tomatoes,
cherries,
apples,
oranges, yes. Onions, cucumbers, watermelons, cantaloupes, and grapefruit. I know them all because I picked them all. But the thing about that is that that's the life that I was living with my family. But I know that sometimes things happen in life that we don't suspect that happens, but just try to remember and be strong and keep on who you are, where you come from. Don't ever forget who you are, especially your family. And true, some families do all right, some don't. But that's something that we can't control. Life goes on. But be strong. Respect your family. Love your family. You ain't got to treat them wrong. This is your blood. You be there with them 100,000%. Not maybe or no. Yes, I will. That's how it is. Now, I messed up when I was about maybe 17. I started into some stuff. 15, better yet. And I left home when I was 14 years old or 13. Stayed with my uncle in South Central Salinas, California. That's where I come from. That's where I grew up, more or less. At the age about 18, 19, I was into some stuff that I was doing wrong. I knew I was doing wrong, but at the present time, my life, I don't care. But now, it's a whole lot of different, because I went to prison at the age of 21. I got involved with some people that I thought they were friends of mine. They turned around and told on me that I was the one that did this to this lady. Supposedly have that. I never done that, ever. But I was there, yes I was. I admit that. But for me to do that, no. When I was coming downstairs from upstairs broke into this house, it was an old lady. She's about 75, 80 years old lady. And what I saw, that kind of made me upset, because this guy individual was hitting her. All I said, man, just tie her up in a chair. That's all you got to do. So I come down and I look, and I jumped and kicked him in the face. So what are you doing, man? I don't believe in hitting ladies or putting my hands on women or mistreat them. No, I don't play that. Never have, never been, and never will. I know that we all men grow different ways. I grew up one way, respecting my mom. You abuse a woman, you're abusing your mom, because that's just like your mom. She brought you here, be strong, respect her, learn the rules. I was one that always broke the rules. The black sheep of the family.
A lot of them, but not this one.
The black sheep of the family.
I'm a rule breaker too.
Okay, so you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
But then, as life goes on, like I said, I was a migrant worker doing all that, fields and all that stuff, and I got in some gangs, And it's not easy, man, being, how can I say this, man? Being in a situation that you wish you could change, but there's no way to change it because you're young, you don't care, you're crazy, you're doing crazy things in life. But as life goes on, you catch on and you learn. Well, this one here, I learned the wrong one, not the right one. I went to prison for doing some things that I thought I was doing right. I was trying to get me some stuff. So next thing I know, I'm in prison. Here I am, 21 years old. Not even 21 yet. I got locked up on June 10th, 1973. I didn't come home.
1973. Also, I can't tell if your nephew needs you or. We do like 10 minutes. Yeah, and I was gonna say, sorry, we'll come right back into this. Can you text Vic and tell him I'm not gonna make my spot because he's there as well. And
they're gonna start again.
What?
No.
Ready?
Ready?
I just wanted to make sure he didn't need you.
No, not all the way over from where you're at.
So when I went,
1973.
Yes.
You were 19.
I was 19 or 20. So yeah, something like
My
that.
mom told me he was 19.
I'm
when
19
he
or
got
20,
locked up.
give or take, maybe. Yes.
He got locked up before I was born. I was born in 75.
True. And I got locked up on June 10th, 1973. I went in prison for entering into an occupied home. And like I said, I believe some people that I thought they were right people, and I end up on the wrong side. So now
You're just a kid at that time, trusting people.
Yeah.
Like you don't learn shit by the time you're 19. I mean,
yeah. And then when I end up in prison, I didn't know nobody yet at the time, no one, and the only people I had was my family. And back then, my sisters, they were nothing like maybe like 12, 15, and 17 years old when I got locked up. And as years go by, I'm in there, and true, I did wrong. I had to defend myself. To them, I did wrong. Because to them, they consider you as a rat, going to the police and say, this guy is bothering me. You'll die. A rat, die. Yes, that's how they do in prison. Pedophiles, they ain't got no respect at all. And I like that. Because I don't believe in molesting babies. No. I don't play that, never have, and never will. And that's one thing, I'll stay forever real. I did my best trying to avoid things in prison. But it's not that easy. Either die, live, or lock up for protection, you still be alive. But who's going to be in a cell that you can reach your arms? I'm a small guy. You can reach your arms and touch the walls. A mattress size of
A sheet.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 sheets, if that.
I'm like, if that.
You know, so it's not, I'm not saying that they did me wrong. I put myself in that situation. So I did wrong by making that big mistake going into these people's house. But you know what? I know I did wrong, but we learn, man. We learn our rights and our wrong. And I am now 73 years old. And I was
home after
50 years. 50 years, man. And now
last year,
my family,
right?
2 years now.
2 years.
223. Now
This
my
year will be 2
family,
years.
yes. Now my family, they have family, nieces and nephews. Now my nieces and nephews got their families.
And look at where your niece is up to.
Yes, and up to this point right now, every one of my nieces, man, they always tell me, Theo, we love you. And you know what? I'm believing. Even her daughters. Yeah.
We're the kids he never had.
Exactly.
And you guys, I'm curious, what was it like for you to communicate while you were in prison for 50 years with your niece and have her also believe in you?
Yeah, writing, calling, communication. I'm sorry. She was never just a little tiny thing. When I first seen her, I asked my mom, "What this little kid belong to?" She was so dark. She was so dark, young, right? And I go like, "Where you guys pick this little kid?" Messing with him. But I know she was my niece. It's my sister's daughter. And when they
We can
told
see that
me,
y'all share energy.
See,
I mean, this is family.
yes. And when they told me who she was, I said, "What? She have a daughter?" At the moment, I did not know. I did not know. But 6 months, 5 months, I found out. And then I got another more nieces and more nephews. I said, what the heck is it? Well, I found out what life is really about. So I try my darndest not to get involved in anything because I have someone helping me out, which is my family now. And because of them, I'm not perfect, but I would say this much. She grown up to be a very special lady. My niece, yes.
Yeah.
She got something that I wouldn't say
Incredibly
because I
special.
don't know. And then next thing I know, counselors keep telling me, hey, you got a letter, okay, from court. Family were doing that for me. I didn't even know.
Like character letters?
See,
Yeah.
I thought I was a lawyer. And they said, no, this comes from your family, these papers, this address, envelope, everything, court things. And all that was to help me out of here. I did not know that at the time.
Yeah, character letters go a long way
Yes,
in
and
saying
I didn't know it.
we vouch for this person and
Yeah.
we're ready. Like for family to do that and say like we want this person to come
We had
home
to
means the
explain.
family knows that this person is ready to come home.
And we gave them a whole care plan of what he would be involved in, who he would
Yes.
live with, what he would, he would have a job.
which is important. I've written a few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he has his own apartment now, just a block away from the office, which
Right.
is through me as well. One of my best friends owns a restaurant right next to my store, and she has what's called community living space above her restaurant. So 10 of my peacekeepers live there, and she only rents to my peacekeepers. So he got his own pad, and he has a ball.
It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful life. And I'm blessed with my family and Lord that I got the chance to see and meet her kids now.
Yeah.
And my grandkids.
And her grandkids. And here I am, man.
Enjoying life.
Truly
And not only that,
enjoying life.
enjoying family that I never met.
Yeah.
And every time they see me, not just her daughters or sons, everybody, they're all running to me.
And everybody wants to take him out because he's
Yeah,
such a good time.
thank you, yes.
And everything.
Truly a
is-
good time. I
and
mean,
everything,
again, the life of the party at an entertainment summit.
and he's everything's a first time for him. So like when he first came home, I took him straight to Lakeshore
Yes.
Drive to the beach, and I'll never forget. He was shaking,
Yeah.
and he touched the sand, and he touched the water, and he just broke, and he was just crying and crying, and he was like, "I only seen this in pictures and movies, and I never thought I was gonna touch or see this again." And that was everything. And I took him on a 7-mile bike ride as well the same week. And he's very active, and he's been going and
Oh, yeah.
he's in school to get his GED. So in prison, that was the first thing he said when he
Yes.
came home. The first thing he told
I
me,
wanna try that,
he was
yes.
like, because when you have life,
Yeah.
they don't let you program at all, because they only save them for people that are coming home, any kind of programs.
And I wasn't coming home at the time.
So when he came home, I will never forget the first day. He's like, "Mia, I want to get my GED." He's like, "They never let me go to
I
school
did.
in prison."
Yes, I did.
So he's in school right now, working to get
Yeah.
his GED.
I'm trying
He's already
hard,
went up
yes.
3 grade levels.
See.
So shout out to
Wow.
Theo, because he
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
even know how to read and write when he got
Not that
locked
good.
up.
Not that good at all. No.
So he's doing amazing. And he's an author now, and
See?
he's
Oh,
changing the
yes.
narrative of what being a senior coming home looks like.
Yeah.
I mean,
He is.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
We just still got to yell at him because he doesn't like taking his medicine. But other than that, he's doing all right.
And they on me about that every day. If it ain't her sister or her daughters, somebody. Theo, you took your medicine? 9 years old. Her daughter. What? nigga? What? Did you took your medicine?
The attitude.
And they be on me. That's how they are.
Because
No
we
one.
care.
Exactly.
We want them to be around as long as we can
That's
have
what
them.
that is. And as of right now, every one of my nieces and nephews, they adore me. They tell me, come on, hang out. Sometimes they come and pick me up, take me to dinner. She come and take me up. Come on, Theo.
That's what she
And
says.
I go
She
like,
says
where
she
we going?
brings
She
you
said, this is a
everywhere
surprise.
because you kind of rule.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
You got to experience life.
yes. So when I did come out, and she told me about this job, GOD, I said, I didn't even know what she was talking about, I'm going like, come on, Theo. She introduced me to everybody. And from that day on, I said, okay.
And how do you like your job?
and I love it. I love it. I
know
love
he
it
does.
because I get to walk around, help other people, the community. We what you call may I help your God, giving others dreams, and then you got education. Then we feed our families Mondays and Tuesdays. The
Pantry.
community, the whole community. It'd be a lot of people in line, and sometimes
Around the block, right?
Exactly. Sometimes
Okay,
she
so
come out.
500.
Yeah.
She come
families
out.
a week.
She come and tell me,
500
Tio,
families a week.
get out of the sun, stand in the shade. I said, oh my God, leave me alone. Stay out of the sun. Where's your king? Now they give me a king.
Boss.
She got me a king.
La
Where's your
jefe.
king? I keep forgetting because I'm not used to it, but I gotta have it because of my leg. I keep falling down, So, but you know what? Of all this, I owe to all my family. I'm not gonna say that. No, I'm not gonna be on nobody's socks because I don't play it. I'm real. I owe it all to her. Besides my family, her too. Yes, especially her, because she told me like a few things that, hey bro, even though I'm her uncle, but sometimes we talk, hey bro, don't take this as a how can I say it, like, yeah, you got to come and know. You got to earn it to get it. And you earn yours. Now, show me you want to get it. And I'm trying my best. And you know
I
what?
crack a whip at my office.
And I was going to say, if I don't get it
Well,
right.
you don't have businesses and nonprofits, and like those don't sustain without getting stuff done.
So in my office, I
And
always tell
without-
people we believe in second chances, but not third. So I always tell them, you're not ready right now. I'm not telling you can't come back now, but come back when you're ready. Because right now, mentally, you're not ready. Emotionally, you're not ready. And you're not going to screw up and bring bad energy into a great space.
I need to take that with me. Second chances, but not there for now. Yeah. And I also think something you said, and we've taken up, so much of y'all's time, and we'll obviously have you back as this
Wonderful.
podcast continues to grow too.
Yes.
By the way,
And as we continue to
we have
grow, because
some-
I'm doing a lot of other stuff.
It will. We've got thousands now, and that will be billions. So that, the idea of giving others dreams. I just want to be clear. Like, you all inspire me so much to be like, okay, this work, like. It's hard. It's hard to schedule. It's hard to pop up. It's hard to do things. Get people obviously all in the room.
It's
and
hard work.
So it's all good work is all hard work, but it's like
Right.
work. That's why it's worth it. Is to say actually yes, we can continue sharing stories of folks. Which some CNN I think analyst said this, and Kyrie and I repeat it almost every episode, that humanization is how we move through decriminalization, connecting with each other again, relating to each other. And you all you really are giving other people dreams.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not, and I mean, to put that into the hands of folks that need it the most, incarcerated, right? And maybe aren't sure if they're going to see the outside again. And, JJ was talking about this earlier too. It's when we were in the Douglas Project yesterday, we had quite a few folks, right? We were talking about what are your dreams, and some were to Corey next to me is going to start a dog walking and dog grooming business.
Yes.
And another gentleman who didn't, give me permission to use his name, but he was like, I want to come home and see family. But even the idea of being able to articulate your dreams, and that's not provided to everybody. So the fact that you all are out here truly giving, it's not just hope, it's straight up dream. I mean, this, you pick the branding for a reason, but it's not just because it stands for God. It's it's what you're doing.
Right.
And it's so important. And I wanted to highlight just one other thing that you said too, to make sure that we have it at least on this episode, is for all of us, I think sometimes it's okay, how do we do that, right? How do we give each other dreams? How do we give each other support? How do we say 2 chances but not 3? How do we do the things in practice? And one thing that you said, I think that was so powerful, was when you ask folks what that come in with a list, right? Especially in the reentry work, that come in with a list and say all of these things are hard. All of these things I have to do. All of these things are problems. Something you said was, right, what is the most important thing we can do for you today? Right? What do you need today? What's the biggest need today? And that's something that I'm going to, for sure, take with me to folks around me that I know that are struggling, right? That you can only do, you can't do the work for them. But that question, I think, is so powerful and impactful, and I wanted to make sure that that is broadly spread.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you for your time, for creating this beautiful podcast to share people's stories, because again, stories are what moves people. I mean, look at the Bible, right? So it's all about sharing what happens to people, the truth, the bad and the ugly, right? And let people know that in this journey of life, that we're going to go through things that will break us, right? We're going to go through experiences that will shake us and change us and mold us. But ultimately, it's still your decision. Like, it's your responsibility. Like, regardless of what harm has been done to you, it's your responsibility to decide how that harm is going to play a role in your future. And you get to decide, because you're the CEO of your life, right? Whether it plays a role or not. And when we start looking at our own power and deciding that we are God, because God says we are made in his image, there's nothing that is impossible. You know, even the word impossible says I'm possible, right? So there's nothing, unless you're dead, there's nothing that you can do, or behind a wall.
You know, Celia, I do want to be the CEO of my own life, but if it weren't going to be me, I would nominate you. Maybe, yeah. And Michelle said, you know, well, ops, COO in the corner for sure. Your daughter would be CFO. Because I'm not great at managing my money. But things we're working on, right? We all have our gaps, and we are flawsome, no doubt. And I do want to call out, even after hearing the 3-minute story of yours. So watch CiCi's episode. Thank you. It's been a long day of the Marshall Project. And even after having watched 3 minutes of that, Michelle earlier, she said she'd follow you anywhere. And I wholeheartedly agree. So what we will, of course, do in like the show notes is link everything that you've dropped in here. I'll get the information directly so people can like click through and find things, because it's so, I will say, like overwhelming to take in what you are involved in. And I know people will want to be a part of it as well. So I want to get you that $15K for we were going to do
Big
that.
Mama Bus. We put Beyond the Bars on the back of it.
Big Mama Bus. We're going to help facilitate that. And what I also want to say is, like, are there at the back, we'll list everything out, but are there specific ways people can sort of like find and follow and support you?
Yeah. So our all of our Instagram is Giving Others Dreams, GOD, Giving Others Dreams. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the same. And I always invite people to volunteer, and it doesn't, or sponsor, support in any way that they can. And a lot of times people, when you're asking for support, they right away go to monetary, and that's great. But even your time, right? Mm-hmm. Your time, the talents that you have. Like, I always invite speakers. I always invite people in to share their knowledge with our team so that they can dream and live a little more. And that's the most important to me, is the human connection above it all, right? Is connecting humans to other humans that are supposed to be connected to do other amazing things. So for me, in any way or form, if people want to come and volunteer at the food pantry with the seniors, they want to hang out with the youth, like whatever y'all want to do, we want to do some plays, like we do it all. So every Friday when we do a check-in with our peacekeepers, we do a dance check-in, because, I believe that movement is magic, and it lifts people's spirits. But just know that you are amazing, and you are a child of God, and you are beautifully made, and there's nothing that we can't do.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. And to one thing I should say too, in terms of like connecting and people and their time and the ways in which we sort of like fell together. I want to acknowledge Arlita Hall, who's a comedian also in Chicago and did a beautiful documentary, and is a filmmaker and an actress. And she put me and us in touch with Michael Dean, who put us in touch through the Douglas Project yesterday. And again, we're at the Actor Empower Summit at CineCity Studios, where they're featuring Clarence and JJ and Greg, the stars and directors of Sing Sing, which is an incredible film. I mean, excuse my language because I already twice today, but it fucked me up. And the most like beautiful and then what, you know, JJ is saying, of course, is like this man's record is he's still not exonerated.
We're going to change that.
Yes, I should think so. Yeah, I mean,
we're going to change that because petitions are the way. Right before Biden left, the last woman to be exonerated and given an executive clemency was Michelle West. Michelle West is somebody that the National Council to End Incarceration of Women and Girls, which I also belong to, was fighting for her for the last 15 years. She was given a life sentence for a conspiracy to sell crack cocaine because she wouldn't turn on her boyfriend. And she sat in prison for 30 years. We don't even give pedophiles and rapists that much time. Sometimes not even murderers.
Some of them we give the presidential office.
Not even, exactly. Say that again. Yeah. So for me to bring her home, because we were all pushing, we had to do 300,000 signatures to even get it on Biden's desk. We all fought for her across the nation and pushed those petitions. So what's happening with, I forgot the guy's name that JJ's talking about. What was his name? Devon James. Us meeting you, especially with the platform that you have, it's something that we can do, and we will see it happen.
And we will. We'll
celebrate it when it
post
happens.
The link to the film. I was like waiting for like
the
being
petition.
Extremely also strategic, like trying to be, you know, we're all like what gets people's attention, and I've already had a thought about how I'm going to platform that petition on my media, and it's like, you know, because I'm not millions, but I'm thousands, and we will continue to grow, and like it doesn't.
We're just the beginning. It doesn't end
yes,
with us.
That is right. And that's a beautiful end to the pod, honestly. Do I need to do and say anything else other than thank you? I mean,
thank you.
Like a million. And I look forward to, like, hopefully, if you'll have me, like, being in your lives. I mean, doing this work together in Chicago. And obviously we teach yoga in jail, but we are also not just, like, out here trying to do this work, but I have people ask me all the time about like volunteer opportunities and like how can I be? I can't like go in jail for one reason or another. Or I don't have a yoga degree. The things that like would prohibit them necessarily from working with our organization. But we also have folks like we have a scholarship program for yoga after county, but that's not reentry. Like there's a lot of barriers between like walking out of the door and saying like I want to have capacity to like do yoga, right? At least like go out into the studios in the ways that we're trying to like prescribe that. So obviously we're amending that, but there's, as I said yesterday, like we know that there's other people doing that work. Like we teach inside on the outside. So giving others dreams and everything that's going on with Celia, Lady Colón, follow. I mean, as I say, follow the work, follow the story, follow the arc. Like, I appreciate getting to know you now because when you are president someday, I might need a favor.
I'm gonna hold you to it. Yes, we are connected forever. I've had the same number for 23 years, and I always tell people, I'm always a phone call away. Call away.
And same. So whatever we can do for y'all, both of you, and everybody in your circle and orbit, we will do. And
in my last piece of leaving out here in a minute, I'd like to say that it's been a beautiful evening, a very enjoyable evening, speaking with you ladies, letting you know what my life is about, and there's no lie on that. Guarantee that 1,000%. And proud to be a Theo family to my very beautiful niece. And very smart. I could not believe my eyes when I looked.
See.
I said, you know what?
Yes.
In a rabbit, are you learning what you're doing? But you know what? I might be old, but I'm catching on. I might be a little behind, but I'll catch on. You know?
I can't wait to.
I'm not going to quit.
I want to come to the graduation.
I don't quit.
Party.
I'm not going to quit.
Definitely will. Once Theo gets his GD, we're going to
I'm
invite you guys.
try to get that, yes.
Amazing.
We're going to party for him, right, Theo?
Seriously.
No
Thank you, Theo. Gracias to both of you. And I'm sad Kyrie couldn't be here, but I'm sure all of our listeners can understand why I had to pop this up anyway. Like I could feel how busy you were even before I knew the extent of it. So thank you for taking the time. I'm glad we got to do this, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again with the whole team, and go dance, have fun.
Here we go.
Yes, party now.
I'll say like this: por vida, life, enjoy it when you can. when you can. The main thing is not to panic. That's the thing right there. Don't panic. Just enjoy it.
Incredible.
Yes.
And to Beyond Bars. I'm Kathryn, your host. Thank you to Tyler and Michelle for being here all day, too.
Yes,
and
thank you.
We'll
Thank
see you on the next.
Appreciate it.
All right, good job.
Yeah.